Welcome to Campaign Uncensored, a place where political promises, claims, and challenges face the test of hard data and facts. I'm your host, Kodjo Mensah, and today we'll dive into two major political events shaking the Ghanaian campaign trail. So President Akufo-Addo, Nana Addo one, Nada one, he has hit the campaign trail very hard, throwing his full support behind the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Now, the President insists that Dr. Bawumia is the right person to take over the reins of government and will be a better replacement for him.
I am very concerned about who is going to come and sit in this room next week. And I'm urging your son on you. I'm urging all of you here in the Northeast region to come together as one and put your shoulder to the wheel to make your son, Mahamudu Bawumia, the next president of Ghana. If there's anybody who can testify to his capacity, his ability, his sense of duty, it is me, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. I can make that.
So that's the affirmation from President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. Charlie, if there is someone who can testify about Dr. Bawumia, it is him. It is Nana Addo one. But there is a twist here. President Akufo-Addo has also issued a fresh challenge to former President John Mahama, calling on him to clearly state his position on Galamsey, an issue that has plagued the nation for years. Listen to him.
Presidential candidate and the party had gone around the mining areas and saying that the policy that I was implementing of trying to stop Galamsey would be reversed when he came to power, and that those who were already in jail for offenses, the Galamsey offenses, all of them would be amnestied. So once again, we have to ask ourselves, Mr. JM, where do you stand?
Mr. JM, where do you stand? Nada is asking you. This is Campaign Uncensored. I am Kodjo Mensah. Stick and stay. We'll be right back.
Accra gets ready for the ultimate
So before we went for that break, you heard the president, and he says, Mr. JM, what is your stance on Galamsey? One thing we know is that it's not the first time that this challenge has been made. In fact, key figures in the MPP talk about Dr. Ayu Afriye, the MP for Efidiase Asokore, and George Mekuduka, MP for Takwansi Ayem, have also raised similar concerns.
The NDC presidential candidate and the party had gone around the mining areas and saying that the policy that I was implementing of trying to stop Galamsey would be reversed when he came to power, and that those who were already in jail for offenses, the Galamsey offenses, all of them would be amnestied. So once again, we have to ask ourselves, this Galamsey matter, which has risen a lot in Ghana today. Last election, in the mining districts of the country, the MPP did very badly, largely because the NDC presidential candidate and the party had gone around the mining areas and saying that the policy that I was implementing of trying to stop Galamsey would be reversed when he came to power, and that those who were already in jail for offenses, the Galamsey offenses, all of them would be amnestied. When I said I was putting my presidency on the line, that's what I meant. That I was prepared to take the political risk involved in trying to deal with this Galamsey phenomenon. The result, of course, was that the mining districts, especially in the western region, all of them, including almost, nearly, even Takwa, was lost to the MPP. That is what I meant when I said I'm putting my presidency on the line. That I was prepared to take the political risk involved in coming to grips with this problem. Today, he's saying that no, he doesn't believe in jailing, that he's against Galamsey, that he will enforce the law. So once again, we have to ask ourselves, Mr. JM, where do you stand? What are you telling the people of Ghana? Because every time you speak from one corner of your mouth and you speak from another corner of your mouth. Let us hear from you direct, straight up, what do you stand for? We need to know. The candidate, the MPP presidential candidate, has gone on record as saying that as far as he's concerned, he is prepared to sign a pact that would take the Galamsey issue out of our politics, to depoliticize it, to commit him and our party, all of us, agreeing that we would deal with this Galamsey phenomenon on a non-partisan basis. We have yet to hear from the NDC presidential candidate. I'm asking him to also come out and support the idea of a political pact on Galamsey.
So two things. When JM speaks, he speaks sometimes like this, sometimes like that. So he has to speak like this. That's what Anado is asking. And he says one thing that because of his fight, his political will against Galamsey, they lost massively in the Western region. But the big question remains, does the data on the ground support this claim that they have been more effective in dealing with illegal mining or Galamsey than the NDC? Well, to answer this question, we need to ask, where are the major Galamsey constituencies? Did the NDC manage to grab significant mining seats during the 2020 elections in those areas? Well, joining me now to break it down for us is Kodjo, my colleague. He's been digging into the data, breaking down which party holds control in Galamsey hotspots and how this might affect the ongoing campaign rhetoric. Adam, welcome to Campaign Uncensored.
Thank you, Joshua.
So this is the claim. Because of the MPP's fight against illegal mining or Galamsey, they lost in 2020. That was the political risk. And according to President Akufo-Addo, that's what he meant by he's putting his presidency on the line. Really, what does the data say?
Okay, so Joshua, they will have to start from this. We put together some graphics and maybe we can explain to them, but I'll still go on with this.
Right.
We have 16 regions. As we speak, illegal mining is happening in 14 out of the 16 regions. So the first question someone might go on and say, okay, 14 regions out of 16. Is the president saying that every region that he lost some votes is because of the mining saga. Also, when you go back to 2020, the NPP lost a lot of seats, even in the Greater Accra region. And Greater Accra region is one of the only two regions that has not experienced.
We've not seen
any form of mining, much less talk about Galamsey. So, from a data perspective, one thing you always want to look at is what is the national picture painting. If across the nation, in Greater Accra, for example, you lose close to about 9 seats in Greater Accra, and a similar trend happens around the country, then it could maybe make the whole thing look like you are probably not really speaking to that data. So let's take it there. Now we're going through some mining communities, and predominantly where the illegal mining is happening, we are looking at the Ashanti region, areas like Manso Kwanta, and some areas in there. We are looking at the upper part of the central region, so we are looking at the upper Dentra area, and the places around the Pra. Then the hotspots when it comes to mining. Okay, before we go there, we have the eastern region. Right. So where we have the Ibuakwa areas in there, and then we have some areas around. That's Ibuakwa. The Ibrim. So that's around
where we are told the Galamseys have gone back.
Yes. Anyways. So that's around the Ibuakwa areas, Ibuakwa South. Then there's the Itiwa also areas in there. But we come to the main hotspots.
So for instance, like you can see on your screens now, in terms of the eastern region, we are talking about Adeso, Akwetia, Enyinem, Achimasunafo, Akwabuaso, Akrofo, Arinease, Kwabeng, Chebi, Kibi, Odan. These are the mining communities in the eastern region. And so we want to now dovetail into the proper area.
The proper area, that's the western region.
The western region.
The western region, western north region. And you see, that's what people sometimes get confused a bit. Remember, the western region was split into western and western north. Now, the western region and western north regions are the regions that are actually now the very, very essential hotspots of Galamsey.
Right.
And so we can look at the western region. No, we have to go back. We can go back and look at the western region areas where Galamsey is happening. But then, once we move in there from the western and western north region, we have some. Okay, so this is the western north region. Awin, Bibieni, Enchi, which is also in the Awin constituency. Sefi Bekwai, Sefi Yoso, Sefi Akontomra, Swaman. All these are areas in the western north region where the issue of illegal mining is happening. When you go a step back to the western region, you even have a lot more. So in the western region, a lot of the areas around the Amenfi areas in the western region. Western region actually a very, very big hotspot, and the list goes on and on. So the question you should ask yourself is that how many of these seats, because the president goes on to say that in the western region, especially, we lost some seats. So we look at the data, and then these are the seats. So this is the western mining community. So Takwa, Pristia, Bugoso, Asankregwa, Wase Krupon, Wasa Japa, Mpoho, Daman, Nkrofo, Tika Bazuka, Anya, Axim, Ereko, Dabuase, and all these ones are areas in there that are spread along from the Ahanta West, which is more like getting close to the Ivory Coast border before Jomoro. In fact, Jomoro is one of the few places that does not have the menace there. So right from Ahanta West, all the way up to the western north, every constituency in that area has some level of illegal activities happening. So now let's go to and see which of the constituencies they lost and whether there are some that they want. So we can move forward to two after this, where we list those that have been lost. Now, when you go to the data,
in terms of the constituencies that are now controlled by the NDC,
yes, that's where so the NPP were holding these seats in 2016. But then they moved to. They lost it they held this seat in 2016, but they lost it in 2020. Now, I put these two on the right before I come to the left. I put them in because they are special cases. Now, the eastern region, for example, is popular for mining, but the eastern region is an area that the NPP lost. Thankfully, the president, when he was speaking, confined himself to the western region.
He didn't talk about the eastern.
Yes, but then we have data because this is also a mining community that, for example, the MP lost. But the MP lost Akwetia because of internal party struggles. Now, the then candidate or the then MP, Amasi, was replaced by Ernest Kumi. and it didn't go well with a lot of people. So even in that area, the president outperformed the MPs. So the president's performance actually improved, and then the MP lost to the NDC candidate.
So we cannot say that the MPP lost Akwitia because of Galamsey. Per the data. So that's one. Now there's another one, the Upper Dentra West in the central region.
Which is one of the seats that the MPP lost. Now historically, the Upper Dentra West seat is not a seat that's a stronghold for the MPP. It's a seat that has largely been controlled by the NDC.
Okay.
And so if such a thing happens, there are some days, and if you remember in 2016, there was a very, very significant landslide in the way things moved, where the MPP had 169 in parliament.
Yeah.
Now, when there's a change, or that's what political science will tell you, when there's a wind of change, there's a certain minute percentage that if you do not hold over your candidate as an MP, once that thing sweeps in, you are likely to lose your seats. So that swing led to a lot of seats with the MPP winning for the first time, and some that were swing that the MPP managed to get that margin that they needed to get it. And the Upper Dentra West is one of those cases. So these two, I want us to live there.
Right.
Now let's come to the Western region. This is the Western region, and I'm going there because, as we have already highlighted, it is where now there's so much conversation around Galamsey, and then there is the president saying it. Now I'll start from Amenfi East.
Amenfi East, talk to me.
Now Amenfi East, 2016 was the first time the MP won that seat. So in 2020, the seat just simply flipped. Prisia Valley has been a predominant swing constituency, held by the MPP 3 times, held by the NDC 3 times, and so that's also equally can say happened there. And then there's Evaluate Ajomoro Jua. Similar. Those 3 constituencies are constituencies that are usually swing.
Okay.
Now, in fact, when you go down to the data, and we'll probably bring it in a subsequent
the editions of Uncensored,
you realize that the president outperformed in about 2 of these constituencies, as opposed to the NP. So these are questions that tell you that, for all you know, they may be local issues. Because if they are angry at the party, why are you voting for the candidate and then they're not voting for the MP?
Right.
But interestingly, before I leave, there should be one more like that.
Okay.
Despite saying all this, there are still some Galamsey or mining communities that the MPP equally won in there. And I don't know if it's there, but I can quickly go to it.
Please.
Takwa in Swayam.
Good.
Takwa in Swayam is one of the places. The president spoke about it, that the gap was quite close. And that is true. However, there are other places that the MPP did so well. Ahanta West, for instance, the MPP managed to increase their gap from about 50 to about 60%. In Poho constituency, the MPP also did so well there. When you go to Sefiri also, which is in the Western North, the MPP consolidated their win in there. And then Sefi Akontomra. So whilst indeed there are some 3 or 4 constituencies that the MPP lost, which are mining constituencies, they are equally almost the same number that the MPP retained. And so it begs the question, when the president says we lost all our seats, all mining communities in the Western NPP.
The data does not support this claim by the president.
The MPP won and lost equally.
So it cannot be the case that it was specifically because of government's fight against illegal mining in those areas. Because the president, like you said, the president got more votes in those areas as compared to the parliamentary candidates.
Yes, in about 5 out of the 6, or in about 3 out of the 4 areas, the president did better than the parliamentary candidate. So if the president is performing, Joshua, if you're angry at the party, and you go to the polls, why would you go for the president and then fight his MP? So it's likely that it was more of local political issues as opposed to...
And you mentioned Takwa Nsiayem.
Yep.
Mekuduka is still...
He's still there. So, but he won by a rather close margin.
He still won.
And the president did better than him there.
And the president also did better in Takwa Nsiayem.
Yes, than he did.
Than the candidates.
Yes.
And so we cannot say, for instance, in that area where illegal mining is happening, government's fight affected the president's performance.
We cannot say that, because the president did better than the candidate.
And the candidate still won.
And the candidate still won.
Data no they lie.
Data no they lie.
Adam, thank you so much for breaking it down for us. So that's it. I mean, that's what the data says. So when President Akufo-Addo says that, well, he put his campaign, his presidency on the line. He had the political will to fight illegal mining, and because of that, his party suffered the loss. Did his party really suffer as a result of the fight? This is what the data is telling us. This is not me sitting somewhere to tell you, oh, it is true, it is not true. The communicators will come and sit on television and tell you, yes, we lost because we fought Galamsey. That's the price we paid. But did you really pay the price? Was it really the price that was paid for Galamsey? That is the question we are asking. And that is why we have a research desk here at EIB. And watch out for this research desk, because from now till the December elections, Obana Noko, we will show you what people will not do. That is what we will do here at EIB, because we are your election hub. And on Campaign Uncensored, there's a reason why we are uncensored. It is simply because we do not take anything out. We bring it to you raw data. What the data says is what we give to you. And so now we know one thing that has happened. Today there was an IPAC meeting. The Electoral Commission has also broken down the details for us. That particular voters register that EC says we don't need a forensic audit. I mean, our systems are robust enough to deal with it. Adam, walk me through what's happening here.
Yeah, so Joshua, it's interesting. We have 53 days to the election. We still do not have a finalized register. Let that be on record.
EC says by November.
And yes, so interestingly, if you remember, there was a conversation around ballot statistic about a week ago where the EC noticed that we're going to print and did some 2% margin of error on top to know the amount of ballot they print. Now, I was looking at the numbers this morning and the EC brought new numbers. Now, guess what? In the original ballot statistic that was brought on the 3rd, the total number of valid voters, according to the EC, was 18,772,509. The figure here is now
18,772,252.
That is a reduction of about 260 people. So it's a very interesting list. And so once there's no final register, we can look at these numbers, and we've started doing some works around projections and all that. But it looks like we still don't have a finalized figure. But if the AC's numbers are to go by, we'll probably get around.
This is what we have now.
Yes, 18.7. So first time voters, 708,000. And note that this is not just first time from 2020 to now. There's been multiple number of elections, and where last year we had a district level election. So those are those who registered in the just ended special voter list.
And they make up the majority of the voter list.
No. 708,000. There are 18 million people.
Oh,
there are 18 million people there who have already experienced some level of voting. Remember that in the 2020 election, there were around 17 million. So
special voters,
131.
Are you a part of that?
Yes. So when are we voting?
Please continue.
And then transferred voter lists, which has also been a very controversial list when it comes to the transfers. Proxy list 2,000, exception list 33,000, multiple lists 26,000, missing on the voter list 1,273. So I don't know whether all these have gone in, but I believe the EC will do all the finalities, and then, as you are saying, hopefully in November we can see the final number.
And then on December 7, Ghanaians will decide.
But as we sit here, if you do a quick calculation, if you want 50 plus 1, you should be targeting 9.35 million or 9.4 million.
But okay, and make sure that you check to know if you are part of this 18 million people. Else on December 7, your vote will not count. Because if you are not part, you cannot vote.
You cannot vote
clearly. So make sure your name is on the register. Adam Kodjo, thank you so much. Adam Kodjo is with the research desk here, breaking down the numbers for us on Campaign Uncensored. But like one thing I said, I mean, President Akufo-Addo, he's been canvassing votes for Dr. Bawumia. He says Dr. Bawumia is the man after my own heart. Ghana, you need to vote for this man.
I am very concerned about who is going to come and sit in this room next week. And I'm urging your son on you. I'm urging all of you here in the Northeast region to come together as one and put your shoulder to the wheel to make your son, Mahamudu Bawumia, the next president of Ghana. And I've come here to ask you for support for him, not because he's a Mampusi. It's important. We all have to come from somewhere. Each one of us, we come from somewhere. So, but that's not the issue. It's not where you come from. It's your quality. That's what matters. And this man has the quality to be the next president of Ghana. If there's anybody who can testify to his capacity, his ability, his sense of duty, it is me, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I can make that. I knew him when he was deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana. Extremely efficient. And even then, as a young man, highly respected economist. Paul Akwa, who was the governor of the Bank of Ghana, was a good friend of mine. Then I was Attorney General. And he had nothing but the best words of commendation for his deputy, Bawumia. And in 2008, when I was looking for a running mate, he was proposed to me and I accepted it gladly. Since then, up till today, we have worked hand in hand.
It's your quality. That is what matters. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, El President One. Salute. I mean, that's President Akufo-Addo showing that confidence and campaigning for Dr. Bawumia. But what about the people who said President Akufo-Addo stay away from the campaign so that Bawumia can be his own man? Anyways, I leave that to you. But that's how I draw the curtains on Campaign Uncensored this evening. I'm sure you've enjoyed the ride as I have. So let the conversation continue on Facebook at GHOne Television and all other social media platforms. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Let's meet same time tomorrow. Stick and stay.
GHOne OV van has been one of the best vans I've used personally in this country. It runs a system where we are able to run on Dante to be able to do our broadcast mixed well also from this van.
I've used this OB van for quite a number of big productions, i.e. 3 music awards, the late President Rollis' state funeral, Miss Africa Awards, and a number of them.
My experience with the GHOne van has been the state of the art equipment they have. Personal experience is you can use it for both indoor and outdoor, all events, conferencing, like anything you need a van to work for you, GHOne provides it.
My experience with the van has been very good. Why? Because it has a number of facilities that I may not get in other vans. You know, the van has a very wide bench that can accommodate all my technical crew. ICCU, switcher, graphics, CG, and all of that. And then it also has a studio, a green room studio that comes with TriCaster. So if you want somebody to do commentary on a live event, you can put that presenter or who's in that studio as well and get that running.
To give an experience to our audience, we're also watching on TVs and online. Work with an Exo technology system, which makes your video mixing with Panasonic cameras, like a lot of other stuff in terms of content you need to get also for your live broadcasts.
I prefer the GHOne van to a lot of other vans I've used, or even doing my own setup on a tabletop setup. Because on a production you see a number of people in the van. And so if you have a very small van, it means that it's going to be choked, and that will affect the creativity as well. The price has been discounted as well to accommodate varied budgets. And so no matter the budget you have, I understand you can have the track and do business with it.
It looks huge, but very affordable. Cost is really, really affordable. My experience with it, EMI Awards last year, super excellent. Try it, call them, and I'm going to give you the best of price. Really affordable.